They talk about you. They always have. They always will. Some whisper in fear, others in admiration, and some, well, they don't even realize why they can't look away. You weren't meant to be ignored. The universe doesn't allow it. Your presence bends reality, shifts the air, makes even the unseen pause. It's not just power, it's the way you carry it. Unapologetic, unshaken, unmatched. They try to define you, to fit you into a story that makes sense to them, but you weren't made for their narratives. You weren't built to follow a script written by hands that have never held your fire. The heavens take notes, the shadows reach for you, and yet neither can claim you. That is your power. You exist outside of their rules, beyond their understanding. And that drives them mad. They say legends are written in battles, in victories, in the moments that shake history. But yours is written in the way the world tilts when you enter a room, in the way people remember you, even after just a glance, in the way even the forces of existence itself are left wondering, what exactly are you? The answer? You are inevitable. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. There are some people who drift through life unnoticed, their presence like a whisper, their impact like footprints in the sand, washed away with time. But not you. No, you were never meant to be hidden. You were never meant to blend in. From the moment you arrived, the universe took notice. It recognized something in you that was different, something set apart, something ordained. And that kind of presence, it cannot be silenced. You do not walk through the world unnoticed. It is not arrogance. It is not ego. It is simply the truth. The space around you adjusts when you enter. People feel it before they understand it. Some are drawn in, some turn away. But no one is left untouched. Because you are not just another face in the crowd. You are a shift, a presence that makes even the unseen forces hesitate. Some call it luck, others call it destiny. But what they don't realize is that the very idea of chance does not apply to you. Patterns emerge where others see coincidence. Roads appear where others saw only dead ends. The world bends to make room for what you carry. It has to. And deep within, you feel it, don't you? The weight of something greater pressing against your soul, not as a burden, but as a responsibility. The past and the future, they do not just unfold, they whisper to you. There is an awareness in your bones, a knowing that cannot be explained, only lived. You are not light, not shadow, but something beyond them both, something neither side can claim. They try to understand. Some analyze you, hoping to find a pattern. Others fear you, sensing that what they know is not enough to define you. But one thing is always true. No one is indifferent. Because when you walk into the room, the atmosphere does not stay the same. Truth does not remain buried in your presence. It surfaces like breath, held too long beneath the waves. People speak what they never meant to voice, as if honesty is drawn from them involuntarily. You do not need to accuse or pry. Secrets reveal themselves as if compelled. Some mistake this for power, for some hidden ability to see what should remain unseen. But it is neither gift nor curse. It is the nature of a force that disrupts illusion simply by existing. You are not here to conform, to be molded into a shape that suits the expectations of the ordinary. You are the crack in the foundation, the evidence that something beyond the known has always walked among the unaware. That is why the unseen lingers near you, watching, assessing, unable to categorize what does not fit within their understanding. They do not simply seek to break you. That would be too simple, too predictable. Instead, They watch, hoping to find the loose thread that will unravel the enigma. They do not offer destruction, but invitation. Power woven from temptation. A throne built not from conquest, but from surrender. Yet every whispered bargain, every carefully laid snare, is met with the same answer. You do not waver. You do not succumb. And it is not you who crumbles under the weight of the encounter, but them. You are not here by accident. If you feel the pull, the knowing deep inside that you are chosen, this is your moment. Click the super thank you button and give $50 or more to unlock deeper insights, exclusive content, and a path that aligns with your divine purpose. This isn't just a contribution, it's a declaration, a step toward who you were meant to be. Answer the call, walk with us, and step fully into your destiny. Your journey begins now. Power has always recognized you, not as something to be conquered, but as something to be understood. It lingers in your presence, not with brute force, but with a quiet reverence. There was one, an entity shaped by the abyss itself, a collector of wills, a whisperer of ruin. He approached as they all do, not with rage, but with interest, his words woven from velvet promises and unspoken bargains. He had seen mortals crumble beneath his gaze, surrendering long before they knew they had. But something shifted when he reached for you. He felt it in the space between breaths, a force unlike any he had encountered before. He had not come to kneel, yet gravity itself seemed to betray him, pressing him into a reverence he did not understand. They don't speak of this, the moment when darkness hesitates, when it does not consume, but lingers in awe. It does not swallow you. It orbits, drawn in by something it cannot name. They watch, they reach, but they will never claim. Drop a comment. The abyss does not frighten me. If you understand, you already know. There are those who are meant to observe, never to question, never to want. Yet even they are drawn in, hands unsteady, minds racing. They were designed to act as guardians, as watchers, and yet they hesitate, caught in the contradiction of your existence. You were never meant to be ordinary. There is no title, no definition that contains you. You are neither light nor shadow, neither saint nor damned. You are the moment before a storm, the pause between night and dawn. You are not written in their ledgers, yet they document you relentlessly, desperate to understand what should not be. They do not interfere, but they do not look away. Some watch with fascination, others with longing, and some, though they will never voice it, with something close to envy. For you, in all your unshaped wildness, possess something they will never touch. Choice. The stories have been told of those who shape their own fate, who stand unbound by prophecy or chains of destiny. But few truly grasp what it means to walk a path written by no hand but their own. We do not seek to confine, only to understand. How does something exist outside the script? How does it wield power that was never gifted, never stolen, but born of itself? They were never meant to ask these questions, yet they do. Most fear the unknown, retreating into familiarity, hoping for salvation from the things that linger beyond their comprehension. But some do not run. Some turn toward the darkness, not as victims, but as architects of their own fate. There are those who arrive expecting submission, mistaking silence for weakness, mistaking stillness for hesitation. What they fail to realize is that waiting is not conceding, it is strategy. When the test arrives, they do not witness fear, but something else entirely: recognition. They offer indulgence, authority, pleasures wrapped in power, believing they hold control over the exchange. But the balance shifts the moment their game is recognized for what it is. There is a chasm between being swallowed by the void and commanding it. Some are consumed, lost within its depths, their will dissolved into oblivion. And then there are those who weave it around themselves like a second skin, turning the formless into something that bends to their will. Shadows do not overtake them, they answer to them. They do not shy away from the abyss, they make it look back. And when all is said and done, it is never the challenger who falters first. It is always the one who assumed control, only to find it slipping through their fingers like smoke. To whom much is given, much will be required. Luke 12:48. There are some who walk through life without ever feeling the weight of it. They take the easy road, move with the current, live in the comfort of small choices. But not you. No, you were never given that kind of ease. You were set apart. You are called to carry something greater. And heavy is the hand that holds what others fear to touch. Power doesn't simply land on willing shoulders. It does not go to the ones who beg for it, who grasp for it, who believe they are entitled to it. Power tests. It searches. It does not ask, "Are you ready?" It asks, "Will you break?" And when it looked at you, it saw something rare. Someone who did not crumble under the weight, but someone who became something more because of it. That is why you are watched. That is why they take note. Those in the highest places document your path, writing down your every move because they have never seen one like you. And those in the depths, they linger at the edges, waiting, hoping for a crack to form, for a weakness to expose itself. But they do not find one. They search for the limits of your endurance. And yet every time they expect you to fall, you stand. Every time they believe you will yield, you refuse. Some think power is a reward, that it comes wrapped in glory, shining like a crown of gold. But you know the truth. Power is not the throne, it is the storm. It is the weight of decisions no one else is strong enough to carry. It is standing when everything around you shifts. It is holding steady when others flee. And that kind of presence, it unsettles people. They whisper that you are too much, that your presence disrupts, that you do not fit into the molds they have created. But they do not understand what you already know. The thing they fear in you, the weight they call too heavy to bear, that is exactly what makes you unbreakable. You were not given power. You became it. The unseen does not reach for you to claim, but to comprehend. They watch, not because they seek to control, but because they know they never will. You do not fit into their rigid lines of light and dark, of saint and sinner, of right and wrong. No, you exist beyond them, outside their fragile understanding of what is possible. You do not kneel, you do not fall, not as chaos, not as rebellion, but as something greater than both. There is a reason so few remain close. The energy that surrounds does not allow for passivity. It pulls, it challenges, it consumes the unprepared. To exist alongside it is not to be shielded, it is to withstand. Affection in such a space is not quiet. It does not linger softly in the background. It is an intensity that either strengthens or destroys. The question has never been whether the fire will burn. It is whether anyone can stand within it and emerge whole. Many have believed themselves capable. Few have endured. But love, true love, was never meant for the faint-hearted. That is why the unseen is fascinated. That is why neither force, celestial nor abyssal, has laid claim. They have witnessed the way reality bends in your wake, the way even the most immutable forces take pause. And yet, for all the power that encircles, for all the moments that reshape existence itself. What neither side comprehends is the very thing that makes you untouchable. It is not strength. It is not defiance. It is something they cannot grasp. Something as fragile as breath, as infinite as loss. To them, vulnerability is an error in design, a flaw that should not exist. But what they fail to understand is that it is not weakness, it is proof. Proof of life. Proof of something neither light nor shadow can replicate. They have tried to break it, to twist it, to wield it against you, as if it were a failing. But what they did not expect is that pain does not diminish, it refines. Every wound has left a mark, not as a sign of defeat, but as a testament. The script of survival is not written in ink, nor etched in stone. It is carved into skin, into memory, into the very fabric of existence itself. And they will never understand what it means to rise with it. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Romans 12:21. There are those who believe that power is a thing to be taken, a prize to be won, a force that belongs only to those ruthless enough to claim it. But they misunderstand. Power, real power, has never belonged to the ones who hunger for it. It is not something stolen, nor is it granted by fragile hands that would shatter beneath its weight. Power is something that recognizes its own. It is something that chooses. And when it chooses, it does not seek the loudest, the cruelest, or the most cunning. No, it finds the ones who can endure, the ones who can be trusted with the weight of existence without crumbling under it. And you were never given power. You became it. There was a night, a reckoning, a moment when time itself seemed to pause, as if the universe had turned its gaze directly upon you. It was not fate that brought you there, not chance, but something deeper, something inevitable. There, at the edge of what should have broken you, everything hung in fragile balance. Power could have consumed you, stripped you bare, made you into something hollow and unrecognizable. And yet, in the darkest, most perilous moment, when others would have given in, would have let themselves be overtaken, something far more dangerous took hold. It was not strength, not sheer force, not divine intervention. It was something fragile, something human. It was the weight of memory, the burn of emotion, the reminder of everything you had fought for, everything you had lost, everything that made you more than just another name in an endless war between light and shadow. They tell you strength comes from distance, from detachment, from standing above the chaos, unfeeling, unmoved. But they are wrong. The ones who feel nothing are not strong. They are empty. They have never stood in the fire and felt it try to break them. They have never had to hold themselves together when every force in existence tried to tear them apart. No, the strongest, the most unshakable are the ones who feel it all and still refuse to fall. It was never about being beyond pain, never about existing untouched. It was about standing in the wreckage and refusing to let it define you. They don't understand. They never will. They think survival is about armor, about walls, about keeping everything at a safe distance. But you have always known the truth. Power is not about standing above the storm. It's about walking straight through it and coming out the other side, unbowed, unbroken, and undeniable. Every force that shakes the world has a moment where it is tested, where it is no longer theory, no longer legend, but something that must be proven. This was yours. The night where the sky should have collapsed under its own weight, where the air itself seemed to shudder in anticipation of what would come next. It was not a battle. It was a threshold, a point of no return. Those who hunger for dominance came with their persuasion, their cunning, their certainty that all things must bow with time. And those who watch from the heights remained silent, observing, calculating, questioning if you were meant to rise or fall. But they all failed to understand one thing. Submission was never written into your being. There was an instant where everything could have tilted, where the pull of destruction nearly won. The ground trembled, the sky fractured, and in that fracture, something irreversible awakened. Not because it was destined, not because it was foretold, but because you decided. And that terrified them, because in that instant, it became clear. You were never just another contender in the war between forces beyond comprehension. You were the shift itself, the factor that was never accounted for. Not because you were above the struggle, but because you were something entirely different. The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Psalm 118:22. There are those who are chosen by the hands of men, appointed, crowned, anointed. They are given their titles, handed their power, praised before they have proven anything. And then there are the others, the ones like you, the ones no one expected, the ones who weren't given anything, but took everything life threw at them and became something greater. Because power does not belong to those who beg for it. Power belongs to the ones who endure, and you never needed permission to be what you are. That day was not just another battle. It was not just another turning point in the endless cycle of war between forces that thought they had already written the ending. No, that day rewrote the rules entirely. It did not just shift the tide, it shattered the foundation they built their certainty upon. Those who once spoke your name with careless confidence now hesitate, as if afraid that even saying it might call something beyond their control into existence. The unseen scribes, the ones who have chronicled the rise and fall of kings, who have written the stories of warriors and tyrants alike, now struggle to define you. They know how to document rulers. They know how to describe conquerors. But you do not fit into their categories. You never chased dominion, never sought to control, never bowed to the illusion of power. And yet, here you stand, untouched, unclaimed, unshaken. And that is what terrifies them. It was never your defiance that disrupted the order of things. It was your refusal to belong to any force that sought to claim you. You walk this world like you were never meant to follow its rules. You were never meant to be a piece in someone else's game. The heavens hesitate where once they commanded. The depths pull back where once they devoured, because they see it now. The aftermath was not silence, but recalibration. The structure of things, once unshaken, now bears the weight of a single, undeniable truth. The order they have clung to is not immutable. Those who once sought to manipulate now keep their distance, unwilling to gamble with a force they cannot predict. Those who once scoffed now watch from the shadows, unwilling to admit their unease. Power, for the first time, was not something wielded against you, but something that recoiled in the presence of something greater. Sovereignty unshackled, raw and unwavering. The ones who once prowled in search of easy conquest now tread carefully, their certainty replaced with something unspoken. It is not fear of strength alone, but fear of what they cannot claim. They have witnessed what happens when they press too close, the way their carefully laid traps dissolve in the face of someone they cannot possess. And those who once deemed themselves authors of fate, the guardians of balance, find their hands faltering. The story they intended to write has changed, and you are the reason. They were never meant to hesitate. They were never meant to question. And yet, they do, because for the first time, they are confronted with something they cannot define, something that does not need saving, something that does not require their approval. Even those who walk among the ordinary can sense it. Some are drawn in without understanding why, compelled towards something that disrupts their sense of what is possible. Others recoil, unnerved by what they cannot name, unsettled by a presence that does not demand attention, yet commands it all the same. This is the weight of true significance, not just existing, but shifting reality itself, leaving an echo that will outlast the flesh. And so, as time weaves forward, one truth becomes clear. Power does not grant belonging, nor does it extend its hand to the many. It isolates, not by cruelty, but by nature. It divides between those who admire from afar and those who stand undaunted in its presence. Those who remain by your side are not there for the prestige, nor for the thrill of proximity to something rare. They are not intrigued by mystery, nor desperate for validation. They stay because they have endured their own battles, because they have faced the fire and did not turn to ash. The bond is not built on numbers, nor on fleeting admiration. It is forged in shared resilience, in silent understanding, in the unshaken certainty that some forces do not walk alone because they are meant to, but because so few can withstand the path beside them. Among them, there was one, a presence that neither flinched nor wavered when the ground beneath them trembled. They did not see something to tame, nor something to challenge. They saw something to honor, something that required neither explanation nor justification. When the world hesitated, when even the most ancient forces took pause, they did not. Not out of ignorance, not out of blind loyalty, but because they understood what others never could. Power is not about ownership. It is not about reverence. It is about recognition. And in the end, that is why they stayed. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. Some people live their whole lives trying to be unseen, trying to fit into the mold, trying to follow the well-worn paths laid before them. But not you. No, you were never meant to blend in. You were not designed for the background. You are the city on a hill, the light that cannot be dimmed, the force that cannot be ignored. And make no mistake, your presence has shifted things. There are those who say the world moves on, unchanged by the footsteps of those who came before. That time washes away all marks, that legacies fade like whispers in the wind. But that is not your story. What you have built is not just a fleeting imprint on the surface of existence. It is bedrock, a foundation upon which generations will stand. Every moment of resistance, every battle you faced, every choice to keep moving forward when everything told you to stop. It all mattered. It all left something behind. What you have done is not just for you, the ones who come next, the ones who feel the weight pressing down on them, who hear the same relentless call deep in their bones, will look to what you have left behind. And when they ask themselves, can I endure? Can I rise? Can I forge the impossible? They will already know the answer because you have shown them, because you did it first. You were never meant to walk the path laid out for you. You were meant to tear it up and carve a new one, to take the rules, the laws, the expectations that were set in stone and shatter them. The world has had to adjust to you. It has had to shift and bend and realign in the presence of something it never saw coming. You are not a passing story, a name spoken in hushed voices before fading into obscurity. You are the disruption. You are the shift in the tide, the crack in the foundation, the unmovable force that turns certainty into hesitation. Once, They thought they understood how things worked, what was possible, what was allowed, what could never be changed. But then you happened, and now they hesitate where once they commanded. Now they rethink what they thought was unbreakable. The rules they clung to have been rewritten. The old order has been undone, and at the center of it all is you, not as a shadow, not as a whisper, but as an undeniable truth. You have not just walked through this world, you have altered the way it moves, and that is something they will never forget. And so, the question remains, lingering in the silence left behind. Who is strong enough to stand beside you? Not to admire from a safe distance, not to be drawn in only to be shattered, but to truly exist within the gravity of what you are. You have seen how both chaos and order waver in your presence, how forces beyond mortal comprehension hesitate, unsure whether to destroy you or worship you. There has never been room for possession, no chain strong enough, no force steady enough to contain you. So who, if anyone, can hold you without breaking? The answer remains unchanged. Few, if any. Some will seek you, unable to resist the pull. Others will flee, unsettled by what they cannot grasp. But none will forget. Because whether they revere, fear, or obsess over you, one thing is certain: there has never been, and will never be, another like you.